Getting There, The Best Part by Scooby 10. My favorite part of caching used to be that moment of first sight, that point in time that comes after a healthy search of the area, and all of a sudden your eyes spy the elusive treasure. Don't get me wrong, first sight comes in a very close second, but now it's the journey to the end that has taken hold of me. I'm one of those people who get excited every time I turn onto a new road, a path that will take me to some place that I've never been. Whether it's a quick turn on a small country back road or exiting onto a new slab of interstate, both paths hold the promise and anticipation of seeing something new. Around here in my little county of Jasper, I thought I had been on every road that existed. After a year and a half of geocaching, I was delightfully surprised to find out how wrong I was. There is a long-distance multi-cache here that proved that point. It took over a week and somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 miles to complete. During that trek, I visited many new and previously undiscovered places that made me think, ponder, wonder, and fantasize about all the things I had missed by not coming up here before. However, at that point, I was also still very focused on finding and completing the cache. It would be several more months before my thinking shifted. I spend an insane amount of hours driving in my truck. I own 2 businesses, and shuttling between both of them gives me plenty of time behind the wheel. I like it, though. Driving gives me lots of times to think through the day's events and contemplate metaphysics of the universe or whatever I'm going to eat next. When I'm driving to a cache, however, things are different, especially if I'm taking a road that I've never been down before. If there is anything playing at all, it's music on the radio, and even then it has to be turned down very low so I can observe. All of a sudden, I'm the Elmer Fudd of geocaching. Shh, be very quiet. I'm hunting geocaches. The drive to the cache is what you make it. You can choose to keep your eyes focused on the road while flipping back and forth to your GPS's screen, or you can observe. Quietly observe and drink in every sight and sound around you until you suffer from the input of sensory overload. Now, I don't advocate not watching the road. That could get messy. But in addition to safe driving, take time to see the rest of the world. I'm sure by now you're saying, "Hey, Goofus, I've been here 1,000 times before and I've seen everything that there is to see." Maybe, maybe not. Let me ask you this. What do you remember about the drive to your last geocache? For most people, I'll bet the answer is something to the effect of, not much. If that's your answer, let me share this with you. My grandfather is a wonderful man, but he's approaching 90 and his heart is just about to blow the 5 o'clock whistle and let him get some rest. During the summer of 2004, I thought it was all over. He was hit hard with a heart attack, and I was just sure he would not recover. But he did. After all the tubes were removed and he woke up, he and I had some of the most wonderful conversations. Being the believer that he is, he said the most interesting thing to me. He said, "I wonder while I'm still here. I was ready to go." Then he answered his own question with an answer that seemed to bring him satisfaction. He said, "I guess God still has some things for me to see." Ever since I heard that answer, I found myself looking at the world through different eyes. Eyes that observe and see much more than they used to. Now, when I'm heading down a road and zeroing in on that cache like a blue tick hound on a bird point, I go a little slower and take in a few more morsels of what would otherwise be considered useless information. Tales to my grandfather about my latest cache hunt now sounds less like, "I found another cache in the woods," and more like, "You wouldn't believe what I saw today." Cachers, Take advantage of your driving time to see what the rest of the world looks like. Observe, listen, and most importantly, see what's out there. I promise you'll be surprised. It didn't make any difference if I was going up or down. I quickly learned that the act of climbing or descending was more fun than actually arriving. Hiking is different. Once I leave the comfort of my truck, don the cash pack, and hit the trail, everything changes. Colors are sharper, smells become more intense, and the thrill of exploration takes over. This is the best part of caching by far. As soon as I find the trail that will lead me to my goal, thoughts of woes, concerns, and worries of life go flying out the window of my mind and are replaced with a sense of adventure and anticipation. Part bloodhound, part Sherlock Holmes, I quietly steer myself in what I believe to be the right direction. Frequently, I stop to take a long, slow look around, soaking in the sights and sounds that embody the woods. It's amazing. It's quiet, yet sounds are everywhere. Everything is still, but yet moving, as if the entire woods itself is alive and breathing. Outside of geocaching, there are many other things about the woods that I enjoy. One of them is hunting. I spent hundreds of hours in a tree stand observing everything that takes place out there, and I have come to the conclusion that it's one of the unique places I can call my sanctuary, my church. It's here that I have complete understanding of the passage in Psalms that reads, "Be still and know that I am God." Who else could have created such beauty? I spend a lot of time in the woods and have done so ever since I was a little boy. When my brothers and I were young, a giant forest loomed just across the street from our house. Okay, giant forest might be a little overkill, but a 10-year-old boy with siblings that would follow him over a cliff like lemmings, it was indeed a giant forest just waiting to be explored. It was during these years that I fell in love with everything that existed outside of my front door. In college, I renewed that interest with zest by taking up rock climbing and rappelling. Spending the day climbing the bluffs with large groups of friends in Giant City State Park, only to rappel down again, was one of the reasons I was such a lousy student. However, this is where I first caught a glimpse of understanding the reality of getting there. It didn't make any difference if I was going up or down. I quickly learned that the act of climbing or descending was more fun than actually arriving. At day's ends, we would scale the face of the bluffs one last time, then make camp at the top for the night. If you've never seen the sun come up from the vantage point of high atop a cliff, start making plans now to do so. You'll see that moment for exactly what it is, a snapshot in time that is nothing short of spiritual. So years later, I've come to understand with more clarity the same thing I learned in college. Enjoy getting there. Appreciate the drive and savor the hike. Drink in every little bit of stimuli on the way to finding your treasure. For me, it brightens the whole experience and gives me great stories to share with Grandpa Kay.